Individuals who attend college experience an intersection of transitions. One is a transition to emerging adulthood, which includes increased exploration and identity development. A second is launching from one's family of origin, which often includes moving away from home, as well as increased autonomy and opportunities for decision-making. College life also presents opportunities to become involved in new cultures. This includes the college culture and a variety of subcultures therein. Individuals encounter a process of socialization, which entails learning the symbols, norms, and expectations attached to these cultures and subcultures. Among these is the college drinking culture. College drinking is a well-documented social problem. It includes a myriad of specific expectations, rules, and rituals. Research has shown it is accompanied by a host of physical, emotional, and academic consequences. For our study, we focused on gaining an increased understanding of the perceptions and expectations of involvement in this culture among first-semester college students. We attended to language used to discuss these expectations, if men and women differed in these expectations, and whether these were associated with binge drinking experience. We analyzed responses to a series of open-ended questions about this culture from a sample of 242 first-semester college men and women. They completed an online survey, and the sample was mostly female, white, non-Hispanic, and heterosexual. They were on average 18.1 years of age. We asked 4 open-ended questions about perceptions and expectations of the college drinking culture. A qualitative content analysis was conducted by 3 coders drawing upon grounded theory methods. We systematically and independently analyzed responses and met frequently to discuss the coding of responses. We also conducted quantitative comparisons based on participants' sex, male or female, and binge drinking experience in the previous 30 days. Participants reported how often in the last 30 days they had 5 or more drinks on one occasion. Based on our qualitative analyses, 4 distinct groups emerged from the data. We called these groups from largest to smallest: 1, the non-endorsers; 2, autonomous drinkers; 3, have bought in; and 4, the law abiders. Roughly 4% of participants did not fit these groups. Our non-endorsers were about a third of the sample. They reported negative views of college drinking, and 3 specific reasons emerged for their desire to not become involved. First was their attention to academics. Second was the negative physical effects of drinking. And third was their concerns for becoming addicted to alcohol. Our autonomous drinkers were about a third of the sample. They reported very intentional expectations around drinking, and that drinking would be on their own terms, regardless of normative drinking expectations. They identified boundaries around drinking, including specific amounts, days and frequencies, and surrounding themselves with trusted friends during their drinking experiences. Those who have bought in were about a fourth of the sample, with a greater proportion of men than women in this group. They identified alcohol as normative to college, even central to the college experience. Some did accept this culture without endorsing their involvement, and a few discussed trying to balance being a good student and also being a heavy drinker. Our law abiders were about a fifth of the sample and focused their responses on not drinking because they were underage. Many reported concerns about breaking the law, and some stated that they did plan to consume alcohol when they had reached age 21, but in small amounts. We compared these 4 groups based on their self-reported binge drinking experience. There were statistically significant differences between our groups. Those who have bought in reported binge drinking with much greater frequency than all other groups. We also found that autonomous drinkers reported binge drinking with greater frequency than the non-endorsers and law abiders groups. The non-endorsers and law abiders did not differ statistically in this regard. No law abider reported ever having a binge drinking episode. Overall, we found that perceptions and expectations of college drinking varied substantially. The largest group did not endorse college drinking. We also found that although some college students do become involved, they may do so in very different ways. That those who bought in differed from those who drink in an autonomous fashion is significant. We also found that overall, that responses to the open-ended questions were very consistent with their self-reported binge drinking experience, which in a sense helps to validate the qualitative findings of these very different groups. Important limitations of our study included that our participants were not randomly selected from the population. They all came from one university, they completed open-ended items rather than being interviewed, and they were not a very diverse sample. These limit the generalizability of our findings. In terms of intervention, we conclude that we must not rely on a one-size-fits-all approach. Each of these groups reported specific views, expectations, and experiences. Thus, interventions must be tailored to meet students where they are at and what they perceive. Successful interventions will also need to move beyond psychoeducation and general information. It seems clear that in order to promote the well-being of college students, a more concerted effort must be placed on addressing the prevailing norms around college drinking. This speaks to socialization processes about the college drinking experience. In terms of future research, it would be important to see how these perceptions and expectations change over time. For example, what actually becomes of our law abiders? And do individuals vacillate between groups? And if so, when and under what circumstances? Thank you.